Is it started?
Is recording has started.
All right, we will call the February 12th highway meeting to order at 8:23. Roll call. Looks like everyone's there. Approval of minutes for the January 8th. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the January meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any additions or corrections? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Public comment, anything?
We do have somebody from the public here. I don't know if they want to speak. Okay. We have Andy Beckman from David Cat who's here. But he's just gonna sit in on the meeting, so you're aware.
Okay. On 6, staff reports. Start with Dustin or start with Brent, who knows more?
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that, do I? Come on now.
Oh, you know
Thanks,
everything's going
Randy.
on.
I appreciate it. No, obviously we have some white stuff on the ground. We finally got some snow. So we still are doing some brushing today. I know this week's been pretty cold. Today we are out cleaning bridges off. We are doing some brushing yet today. Also, we've been doing some maintenance in the shop area, in the truck area. We've been changing filters, stuff like that, cleaning our shops up good while it was really cold. But we did, just trying to keep on brushing. There's most of our projects we're doing this summer. Most of them are already all brushed. There's a few areas that have some dead trees and trees laying out towards the road that we're trying to clean up. We did get all our chips hauled for a chip seal for the summer. That was finished up on Monday. I'm starting to also go through the employees and start doing reviews and their employee reviews. Starting that this week. Other than that, surveillance on the state roads. We have some guardrail cable rails that were hit over the storm. We'll be fixing that today. And then, they're just mainly cleaning bridges off for the next snowstorm this weekend. That's pretty much this week. So, any questions? Any additions, Dustin?
On my end.
How many like bridges do we have on the county roads that are posted less than what the legal limit is? I know Highway B came up not too long ago. Is there quite a few bridges that
That's a good question.
are posted under?
This is just an approximation, but right around about 25 bridges.
Really?
And that's town bridges, county bridges, everything.
Oh, okay.
When you say posted less, are you saying? the
Well,
weight-
you can go over
Weight limit? Is
Yeah,
that
right.
what you're talking? So the actual sign is less than what the bridge can handle or vice
Well,
versa?
what the road would say, if you're 80,000 pounds or whatever,
Yeah,
it'd have something that say, well, you only have 40,000 pounds, like going over it, something like that.
Yeah, so all bridges are legally posted at 50 tons. So 100,000
Okay.
pounds is what they can legally,
Yeah.
anything below that has to be posted. I believe, like I said, there's about 25 of them in the county.
Does that push up then that one over at, Cedar Falls because there's a weight limit now and come up and that's,
Yeah, well, I'll
Oh,
get
that's
to, I'll get to
later.
that. It's in the agenda.
I guess one more thing, we do have, our mid-season fill of salt just started coming in today. So that's one more thing that we're receiving.
just a 30-second version. Okay. Material use, et cetera, with the winter so far. We Obviously,
No,
we haven't used
Yeah,
near as much as many years, but the last couple of years have been kind of more like this, but
yeah, we've had a lot of little skiffs of snow, so I mean, the little ones take just as much as the big ones sometimes. The ice storms, I mean, could I get you that total? Yeah.
no,
But
I was just curious.
I don't have the
No, I
total.
didn't-
Yes,
I
we
didn't-
are way down.
I guess more, I didn't ask the question very well. I'm assuming we are again in a cycle this winter where we're probably saving more than we're spending
Correct.
in
Definitely.
winter maintenance.
Definitely.
That was my
Yep,
question.
yeah,
Sorry,
we are
stumbled
definitely-
around it for a minute, but
Definitely, the last 2 years have been good, and I think last year was even more
yeah,
that we saved.
yeah.
But this year is
So just be aware, just because we're saving money on winter maintenance, we are making it up on road.
Brushings.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
worried about the numbers or whatever. I'm just curious.
Materials.
So-
Yeah, just curious if we were doing,
Saving
you
money on
know,
material.
Yep.
just
And we
kinda in
are.
a good spot that way.
We did not have to mix salt sand this year.
So I know you guys do a great job of having budgets, predicting and blah, 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 so you're all prepared for it and it fits in the budget and everything. But it's been nice the last couple of years, I'm sure for you and us, obviously,
Yeah.
to have more of a surplus moving forward than the opposite way around where you're out there every other day and burn through the budget by the mid-February,
And,
so,
I mean, February is gonna be probably
yeah. Oh, I know
more than average.
Yep, I know there's a
Off of
lot.
that start, but
No, there's a lot of days left here. I get that, but I'm just curious that
I think we're gonna get
figure
by.
you're,
We're gonna get by without having to mix any salt sand. We were thinking about doing it. And I think we're gonna get through the year without it. The surplus of salt is nice. So we don't have to be scratching the floor to find it. So, no, I mean, I think it's been good. Really has, and guys have gotten a lot done out at brushing and stuff like that, so it's been good to get that done the last 2 years. Stuff that's been left behind.
Have you noticed too, like, at least on a township level, once it gets to be about the middle of February, a lot of times those 2 inch snows, it doesn't really take you out there. If there's like sun come out, it just takes care of itself. Where in January, well, you almost gotta go out and move it, but once you get in February, the sun's high enough, it kind of
Right.
takes care of itself.
I just said that a couple days ago, to some guys that are worried about the salt sand pile. I said, we're gonna be fine.
Mhm.
So definitely late February into March.
Takes care of itself.
Yeah. And we've had people call and say, hey, why didn't you go out and plow? Like there's one instance down in O'Galley or not O'Galley, but Rock Falls. There really wasn't that much. And yes, we sent the state out, we didn't send the county out, and by about noon, 1 o'clock, it was all gone. So that was why they didn't like it, but it was passable. So, any other questions?
Good enough.
So we didn't
Well,
get
if
shot.
not, I'll just mention about the shop operations. So Dan Nelson, our shop superintendent, he's gone, on family medical leave, so. Had some surgery done, so. In his absence, we have, one of our lead mechanics that has taken over his duties, in his absence, so.
Who's that?
Mike Bartlett, our lead mechanic, is taking on those duties, so. Just going through some of the shop operations, just obviously routine services, repairs. We started fabricating that second plow truck, so we continue doing that. We are demoing a fleet maintenance program, so currently, our process for managing our shop operations is everybody just calls in with concerns about their piece of equipment that they're driving, whatever, and we write it down on a piece of paper and go up to the shop and say, go fix this. Not a whole lot of information, not a whole lot of organization. So we're looking at a fleet maintenance program that would allow the operators to do a daily inspection of that equipment via their phone. That would come to us if there was any corrections or repairs that need to be done on that piece of equipment. And then the shop foreman can assign it to a mechanic. The mechanic can put notes in, whatever, so we have that historical data of what's been done to that piece of equipment. As of right now, the only thing we have is how many hours have been put to that piece of equipment to repair it and what parts. There's no actual detail. So a number of our mechanics have requested that do something differently. Just so they can look back and say, hey, this mechanic A did this on this day and what did he do? Just to help them diagnose and troubleshoot going forward. So like I said, we're demoing that. Cost wise, I don't have it in front of me, but it's based on the number of users that would be in the system. So like I said, as of right now, we're demoing it. So far, so good. Some of our shop operations have said they really enjoy it. Obviously it has changed, so it's something I would have to get used to by everybody. Contractor is installing the keyless entry system to our building, similar to what's happening in all the other government center buildings, judicial center building. We are going to be going keyless to this building. So you can utilize your phone to get in. Also, a key badge like this to get inside the building to eliminate actual keys. So I believe the locksmith is coming next week to finalize our installation with keyless entry. Not really a huge deal here. We will have it on a schedule, so employees don't have to use a key card or whatever, their phone to get into the building. So all entrances coming into this building will have this system. So if they start at 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever, 5:30, the doors will open up and they will close at 4 o'clock, whatever. And it'll be on the schedule.
I assume that a couple places I work have that same system, keyless entry, you know. I asked one day that one of the lead people, I said, what happens when the power's out?
Backup batteries.
Yep. So I thought it was good. I mean, I figured they had a system in place, but
What if you lose like your card? Can they deactivate just that one?
Yes. Dan knows more about it. He's the IT guy, so I just know that.
So it's like a separate code for that one key and you can just say, oh, yeah, disable it, I lost it.
That's one of the biggest advantages is you look at, this, well, take this building, how many employees you have that have access?
51.
50 employees. If one of them loses a key, you have to re-key
Yeah.
every lock in the entire building. Whereas if somebody loses their card, you deactivate it, give them another card. Way to go.
Not that I want to get in the habit of this, but if, say they come in on the weekend, they get called in, man, they forgot their phone, forgot their card.
Mhm.
They can call me and I'll be able to go on my phone and unlock the door, correct?
The technology exists, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I know I can do it in another place. I was just wondering if we did it here.
Technology is great.
you've done that a couple times for me, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
I did a couple times. I found it the other way around, and
Yeah.
let you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, and it's coupled with the camera system.
Okay.
So, in that particular case, when you go in to open that, you will see the camera and you'll see the person inside of it to know that
It is
it is the right, it is. the
Person there.
So then when you got all those, the gates, are they also under that card in too? They,
Oh,
they got,
that's a different system.
okay, I don't know, if
But
you have to have
each
keys.
each employee does have a 4-digit code to get into our gate,
Oh, okay.
so we can monitor who's coming and going.
And it does have the camera.
Yes. And that includes our department and all the departments that access this facility. So I guess we'll just continue on with that. We did start servicing the county fleet vehicles. such as like the facility vehicles, the little Malibus, and that was something we started doing this year to not necessarily reduce cost, but just keep everything in house. And it's a good thing for everybody, in my opinion, that we do these type of services and incorporate it while we're fixing our own equipment. So not much to it, just typical service, oil change and filter, and fill up the windshield washer fluid and reservoir, and away they go. So and then last but not least, the fuel tanks have been installed at all the shops. So that's the 1,000 gallon diesel fuel tanks that we put in 4 of the shops: Rock Falls, Boyceville, Colfax, and O'Galley, to replace the aging system that we had from previous. We do have one particular issue at our Boyceville shop. We are going to have to rerun electrical out to it. Due to the age of the electricity out there, we're having complications and pumps aren't working properly. So they're looking at trying to come and do that shortly to get that one operational. Going into the equipment update, just so you're aware, we do have 2 trucks that are obviously sitting over at International Dealer in Eau Claire. Actually, there's 3 of them sitting there. 2 of them are scheduled for fabrication. That is from a contract that we had with Universal from previous. So that leaves 2 of the trucks that are currently sitting there. Well, one is sitting there, one is still getting built. That's the one that got demolished when it was in transport. That still hasn't shown up yet. So those 2 trucks, we're looking at figuring out what we're going to do with those 2 trucks. Looking at options here. So what we were looking at trying to do is take those 2 trucks and replace it with our 2 interstate trucks. So we have that upper picture there. That is our S4 route. That's our I-94 East plow route truck. As you can tell, it's a little bit different than your standard plow truck. It has what we consider a live bottom box. So it's good. It's got a conveyor system in it. So when they're utilizing material, they don't have to lift the box that conveyors out to the spreader. So those are 6-year-old trucks. We're looking at trying to not phase them out, but just put them into the county fleet or a different state route or wherever to help prolong the life of those trucks. Those trucks are 24-hour service route trucks. So in the wintertime, they could potentially be running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if they had to. So like I said, currently they only have 70,000 miles on them, but like I said, if we can extend the life of those. With that being said, if we're looking at trying to replace that same truck, obviously that box configuration is more costly than what our current trucks are. You're looking at probably about $40,000 more for a standard dump truck. What I've requested from Universal is to get a quote on replacing that truck, as you see, with a live bottom box, or putting in a slide-in unit similar to what you see on the bottom picture. What I want to see is what the cost difference is going to be.
So with that slide in, would it have that lower sides like that, or would it have? Or is that?
So that would be basically a standard box with just a slide-in unit that you can kind of see where it goes above the box.
Yeah,
where that slack tarp is.
Straps are holding
They
it.
just,
Yep.
they put that, what is that, tarp or whatever, rubber or whatever it is on there for? Just
I don't know. I don't know if
I
that
think it might be to
protect
protect it.
those straps. I don't know from rubbing. I don't know exactly, but like I said, this is just a picture I found.
No, I get it.
World Wide Web, but
so it'd go in a tandem then, or?
yeah, it would go into just like our tandem setup there. Identical trucks. Like I said, I don't know what the costs are going to be currently, but we're anticipating approximately $40,000 more per unit. We're already looking at that.
With the insert or with the insert system or the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The one downfall to that live bottom box up on the top there is the resale value. When we want to sell that
Yeah.
truck, they're pretty much worthless. Unless you tear the box off and put a different standard box on, because
Do they work,
the private sector is not gonna want that.
do they work any better?
Our guys absolutely love them,
The top
yes.
over the other?
So
We don't have any slide-in units here,
Okay.
so I can't compare apples to apples if one's better than the other. But we have 3 units, the 2 interstate trucks, and then our 4 lanes of Highway 29 plow routes. That's what we have live bottom boxes. The big reason for them is overhead bridges.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
want to have to raise our box.
Yeah.
We've got less stability. That's the big reason for these.
One more thing to think about when you're.
Yes, we don't need to tear a box off. or-
8 hours into going like this in
Yeah.
the snow, and it's like, gosh, I forgot to drop my box and that opened fast.
So I get that. I was just curious how that slide in, because obviously all the private sector uses the slide in, so I.
So what we're looking at is if we could do it for each way. So those live bottom boxes, we could tear that box off and put it on a different chassis. On an accounting standpoint, it gets kind of ugly based on, okay, depreciated value with the box, the chassis, all this stuff. The truck is all one lump sum cost. How it's depreciated out.
Well,
The one advantage with the slide-in units is it has a standard box. If you want to take that slide-in unit, put it into a different truck, you can. You still have a dump truck to utilize.
yeah, if your truck goes down for,
Yep. The one disadvantage is you can put less material in those.
Yeah.
Live bottom box like we have is about 14 yards of material. The slide-in is about 12. What's great about both the units is they have the brine tanks, saddle tanks on the side that come standard with that. Slide-in unit has the same thing with larger capacity, so you can get about 800 gallons in those slide-in units. That top one, you can only get 600.
You get paid more by the amount that you use, right?
We do, but the thresholds are basically 1,000 gallons or more is one unit, 500 to 1,000 is another unit pricing, so there's no real advantage cost-wise if you go from
Okay.
600 to 800. It's just, we can apply more material. That's
So
the
now when you're
advantage.
talking about the east and west on 94, is exit 45, is that about in the middle then? Cause I never really checked it out, going one direction, east or going west. Is it-
Yeah, it's roughly where the rest areas are, was where halfway point is.
Okay.
From
so
county line to county line is right
it's
where the
pretty
rest
close
area.
then.
That's where we overlap the 41 and the 45.
Okay,
So the east and the west trucks, they overlap. So, but yeah, like I said, and we're just looking at trying to help prolong these trucks, and we do have other needs. We could put one of these trucks out front here. This is a plow route out front. We're currently using a hand-me-down with a hand-me-down on this particular plow route, and that particular truck nickel and dimes us. So, like I said, we have the need. I just think it would be a cleaner system as if we would just buy a new system and new truck with everything fabricated as you see here, either a sliding unit or.
So you're gonna get a price on both, you're saying?
We are, so I can compare apples to apples. We already have the cost of just a standard box, whatever we're doing now. So that has not changed. So, just to give you as we keep going here, the final cost that we completed, for our truck that we fabricated, the one in-house, came out to approximately $334,000 to complete chassis, fabrication, box, wings, plow mounts, everything. A little bit higher than what if we would have somebody outsource this. We would have, I think we would have saved approximately $10,000 if we would have had Universal do this. The advantage of it is we got this truck out on the road. Otherwise, that truck still would be sitting in the yard doing nothing. We're hoping I think, obviously this was a learning experience for us. Hoping the second truck might be a little bit different cost. But all in all, that 334, I was impressed with it. Like I said, right around that 325, 320 is what we're getting those other trucks for, when they're fully fabricated. And then going through it again, we're looking at swapping out our skid steers. So we have an agreement with John Deere to swap out our skid steers annually with that $8 per hour rate. We're looking at swapping that out again. The unfortunate thing is they're only looking at trying to do 4 out of the 5 machines. We do have that one machine that burned up in that fire incident that we had. So that does have less hours on it, because obviously it was a newer unit when it came here. So like I said, we're looking at trying to swap those out, and I guess I'm gonna let them know, I guess either this week or next week, to let them know if we're gonna continue doing it or not. But like I said in the past, it's a huge advantage for us to do this.
Yeah.
And like I said, $8 an hour for trading in a brand new unit, and it can't beat that. So
So do all the skid steers, are they all on tires or tracks?
track.
They're all tracks in them.
All these machines are tracks. Even with a new unit, we do have to repair these tracks. I mean, when you're out on in the
Blacktop.
ditches and stuff like that, on these slopes, we do have tracks that come off. We do damage the tracks. Even though they're less than a year old, we do have to replace these tracks. Obviously, if there are damages, anything when we turn the machine back in, we do all that prior to. Hopefully there shouldn't be any damage, but you never know. And then last but not least, we're looking at preparing specifications for a new sweeper machine. So we have a unit that was a hand-me-down from Eau Claire County that has its issues like anything else. And then we have another sweeper machine that's probably 30 years old. Still works. It's just time for a new one at this point in time. So we're looking at putting specifications out for that shortly.
So I assume the sweeper's main duty is out on job site, like when you're redoing roads, they go out, clean it up, or
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, chip sealing process,
yeah.
sweeping intersections, if we do have an accident, sweeping this accident
Sure.
off the roadway. Like I said, we have 2 machines currently, and they've seen their age, let's just say that.
Mhm.
Any questions before I move on to the project updates? Not?
Looks good.
Our County Road B project, so we made the final payment on that north half of our County Road B project, so that has been complete, substantially complete. The only thing that is left with that north project is the portion by the railroad. And I just put in there that per the agreement that the Commissioner of Railroads requested on all parties, that we were on the hook for about 9% of the asphalt approaches. And then we had to pay for the additional railroad signal arm in that turn lane, as you can see. And then the interconnect between the traffic signals and the railroad signals was at the county expense. The cost of that was approximately $225,000 for all of that to be done. The DOT is administering that, and the DOT sends us invoices periodically when they get all the costs tabulated. So that will be a carry forward from our 2024 budget to our 2025 budget. And that's in my packet here later in the meeting here. As you can see, the original contract price to complete that north phase was about 3.3. Final cost was 3.1. So we did have a cost savings on this entire project, which is great. Everything's turned out well from what I've seen so far. Haven't had any complaints or issues with timing or anything with traffic signals. I do believe, I have not seen it, but I do believe somebody already did hit one of the signals. That had to be, they have a break off and they just had to be put back up. There was no damages that I believe. Traffic signals, like I said before, from last month's meeting, will be maintained by the city. We have the city agreement, with the county, that all the traffic lighting and traffic signals will be the responsibility to maintain for the city. So that helps lessen the headache on our part. County Road D project from 420th to K, there's no update on that. The project's still scheduled for this summer, and as I noted last month, that Haas Sons was awarded that project. That is a STP rural project. That goes through the DOT, which is an 80-20 split. We're responsible for 20% of the project cost when it's complete. County Road D and G project, plans continue. I have not seen the final plans as of yet, but that's nearing completion. Real estate acquisition continues. I was told last week that we're probably going to be seeing a number of these acquisitions completed where we'll have to cut the checks to the landowners for the additional right of way shortly here. We are still anticipating, hopefully, all the real estate will be done to actually complete this project in the summer of 2025. And then that, like I said, it's pending real estate. We can't start the project unless the real estate's complete. So far from what I've been told by the real estate agents is everything's going well. And they don't anticipate any hangups or issues. And then Cedar Falls Bridge, obviously, most of you are probably aware. The Cedar Falls Bridge on Double B, the load posting was reduced from 45 tons to 20 tons. This past summer, this bridge is inspected annually. So annually, this due to the bridge having a load posting on it and a certain condition state, the bridge has to be inspected annually. So this past summer, routine inspection was completed. At that point in time, there was some structural members of the bridge that were determined potentially needed a structural analysis to determine the condition of it. Structural analysis was completed, and at that time, they determined that the bridge needed to be lowered from 45 tons to 20 tons weight limit restriction. So on January 28th, we got the orders to do that. So we posted the bridge. I've done everything in my power. I was on the news, if you saw it. Channel 18 News posted this. We had it on Facebook. We had it everywhere we could to let everybody know. We at the Highway Department are not the enforcers. We do not police this. That is up to the Sheriff's Department and the State Patrol. That is the biggest questions that I've gotten. Are we going to enforce this? Well, there's a reason it's 20 tons. Yes, law enforcement will enforce it. What we're going to be doing with this bridge is unknown at this time. It was originally built in 1934 with some rehab, new deck, and I think they repainted it in the early 90s. Overall, this bridge for 1935 is in, I will say, fair condition. Not going to say it's great. It's not. It's fair condition. It's at an age where you can't rehab it. There's no need to it. These type of design bridges are obsolete. They don't build structures like this anymore. What's going to happen with this bridge is unknown. I do believe it will be put into the program for replacement. When that's going to happen and the cost of it is unknown at this time. The DOT program for replacement of bridges is capped at $6 million. I do believe this bridge is going to cost more than that. That's just a rough guess. I don't know what it'll be. It could be upwards of 10 million. We don't know. So like I said, I don't know any more information than all of us here sitting here today. I do know that it probably will get put into the program, and once that is established, then more information will be determined at that point in time. So as of right now, it's just load restricted to help prolong the life of the bridge and the safety of the traveling public. To compare what a 20-ton load posting is typically a school bus or less. That's to give you a comparison. And yes, our plow trucks do have to go over this bridge. Our plow trucks have been told that they do not to be fully loaded. But if where our trucks are empty, we would be able to go over this bridge.
Oh, you gotta plow it, right?
We have to be able to maintain the bridge. Like I said, if a 50-ton load went over this, it's not gonna hurt the bridge. It's just we're trying to help prolong it. So
Right.
I'm not condoning to do that, but I'm just saying that we have to access this bridge to actually keep the road open. So,
Because it costs so much,
Makes sense.
like for a new bridge. Sometimes we get 80%
yes,
funding from the state. Is all bridges like that or just certain? Cause there's only like, there's so many that we can actually get to 80%. Some we gotta do on our own, right?
we have the ability, so the county could literally elect to replace this bridge on county funds. Or we can put it into the DOT program that utilizes federal dollars to do an 80-20 match.
Oh, okay.
We have always, in my career here and prior to me being here, we've always had it put in the county or in the DOT program. The DOT program is an 80-20 split, but it's capped at $6 million.
Okay.
So anything above it
or eight?
total. So the total project cost, if it's $6 million, we would be on hook for that 20% of that 6 million. But it's capped at 6 million. Anything above and beyond that, we would have to find some other form of federal funding or county funding, whatever it is. We don't know at this time.
So when they come, like every year to check the bridge, they send some letters to the state or to the federal, so they kind of keep track too of how it's going, or if there's
Yeah,
any
so
problem.
all of the bridges that are inspected, the inspections go to the state, and from the state, it goes to the federal government. So they have a big data, so they know where every bridge is, what condition every bridge is in the US if they needed to. Like I said, this is so new with this load posting that in this particular year in 2025, the DOT, they roll out a cycle. They tell us what bridges are to a point where they can be replaced.
Okay.
I do believe due to this condition of this bridge, I think it will be put into the program this year. Doesn't happen overnight though for replacement. So it, on average, 5 years from the time it gets put into the program to when it actually gets constructed. So, like I said, as of right now, I don't have the information because what's going to happen with this bridge, it's unknown. Could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be, I don't know. So, and like I said, cost wise, that's an unknown. Could we get a rough estimate? Yes. Questions, concerns? I think that's all I had on the engineering updates. No questions. We'll continue on with my long-winded staff report. So just wanted you guys to be aware. So we looked at adjusting some of our material costs. As you can see, the ones that are highlighted in red are the ones that we're looking at adjusting. These numbers have not been adjusted forever. The biggest thing is trying to put these numbers into what the market costs are. What it's actually costing us to do. The ones that I highlighted in yellow are the ones that don't necessarily affect us as much, but it could potentially affect the towns. Because they come and do buy lime rock from us, or we do projects for them. But as you can see, it's not a huge adjustment. Originally, it's at $5.50 a ton if stockpiled at our Finder quarry. What the cost would be at our shops would be basically $14.50 at Menominee, and all the other shops would be about $16. So we raised everything $1, just based on market cost. Our labor costs, our equipment costs, everything has gone up. But the cost of our materials has stayed status quo. So that's what we're looking at trying to adjust. The other one is salt sand. I've mentioned this to the towns already that we are going to be making an adjustment. This last year, I should say, was the first year that salt went over $100 per ton. So at 5%, just the salt in our salt sand is $5 per ton. If you take 5% of the $100 per ton. So like I said, it costs money. Our labor rates have gone up, our equipment costs have gone up, so we've adjusted that. I would not say considerably, but we did raise it based on what our actual costs are.
Has the price out at the Fender plant, has that gone up the same amount as we're raising the prices right here? The stuff that we sell to the townships and that kind of stuff.
So you're saying
Well,
the cost to produce
When
it?
they go out and crush the rocks and, you know, make the piles and that kind of stuff, has that also gone up then too?
So the one positive thing is that price has stayed status quo. So we do not crush anymore. So we sold all of our crushing. So 2 years ago and what we got this last year were identical prices. That $6.50 per ton is actually a lot less than what the actual market cost is. So if we were to go buy that material, you'd be looking at probably right around $9 a ton. So we are cheaper than everybody around us. But like I said, we got to get to a point where it's closer to the market. We do have costs to operate that quarry. We have annual permits that we have to do to keep it as an open quarry. There is maintenance to that. We do have to add base. We have to repave the roads going into it periodically. We have to do erosion control. So those costs are not included in that crushing cost. So we're looking at trying to, like I say, adjust the cost based on the market. Questions, concerns? Okay, we'll continue on. This was something that we requested at the last meeting. So I put this on the agenda to discuss the 1229 and County Road E intersection. Obviously, this was kind of brought to everyone's attention with a recent accident and fatality at this intersection. So I provided some information just to let you know how this intersection works. Since a county road comes out to a state road, the state has the authority over this intersection. So as simple as the stop sign that approaches to this intersection is the state's responsibility. They dictate what happens to the signage. They dictate what happens to turn lanes. They dictate what happens at this intersection. Where the county process works is basically if you were to draw a line right where that stop sign is, anything approaching that intersection on the county road is our responsibility. So anything prior to that stop sign is the county's responsibility at this intersection. So the DOT, I did talk to the DOT, so they did review this intersection. So what they look at is a 5-year crash history. Based on the information that I was provided, is due to the current crash history in these last 5 years, there is no warrant to do anything with this intersection. This is per the DOT. They are currently going to put a larger stop sign in. A standard stop sign is a 30-inch by 30-inch. They're gonna be looking at putting a 36-inch by 36-inch sign. They are also going to be looking at adding a sign on both sides of the road. Obviously, stop signs are on the right-hand side. They're gonna be looking at putting an additional one on the left-hand side.
Sometimes we put those things on top that spin around just to kind of
They-
reflect.
They won't do that. The DOT only puts a stop sign up. They won't have anything added on the top.
So they
Don't even like putting blinking stop signs in. They don't like putting a red flashing beacon above it. That's like a last resort. And that unfortunately is not what they tell me is not warranted at this intersection.
Okay, so they own from the stop sign to across to the other stop sign
Yes.
on the north side there. So everything before that, we can do whatever we want or whatever we choose.
What we feel is necessary.
Right.
So what I
Or
I had on the
or
bottom-
what we feel is necessary or maybe what the public wants.
Yeah, so what I put on the bottom, there's possible considerations that we at the county level could do,
Gotcha.
is we could put rumble strips in.
Cause I'm assuming, you know, people just drive up to it and it's like too late then, you know, so if we have
Yep.
warning signals on the way into the stop sign, that we can do.
We could. We typically follow the DOT's policy, is if it's warranted,
Well, that-
we would do it.
Yeah,
The county can go off of that policy. There was talks about, they did review the possibility of putting, flashing lights, like if you're approaching the intersection, you could, it would blink.
and just like it was down the road here.
Yeah,
Under the
on like it-
stoplights.
But they figured they would just constantly be blinking, so they didn't feel that that would be a safety enhancement. Like I said, the only thing that I could see that we could do on the county level is put a rumble strips in. Major concern with those is the noise. I'm not
There's-
saying we would get complaints with it, but there is some residential houses that, there's one residential house right across from the
Yeah.
church there.
Yeah.
It could be an issue that they may not like that noise. Every time you drive over, you're gonna obviously hear that rumble strip, noise. So obviously, it's not as easy as just going out there and doing that. Obviously, we would have to get public input.
Yeah.
We would have to get costs on it, what it would cost the county to do that. Is there a possibility to apply for highway safety grants? Yes, we could look at that. But that's not an overnight process. That takes years to accomplish.
Because when you look at that road, that's fairly wide open. Is that house
It's
on the
not
north,
necessarily wide open though. When there's corn
not-
planted on those
on the north
corners,
side,
you
there's a
can't
house
see anything.
parked there. Is there any brush that we could take off to make it more like visible? Going from like north going south?
We have cut everything.
When that
in
field
our
is-
right away.
When that field is corn and this one over on this side, there's a little more room over here because there's a like a area where you can pull off the road there,
Mhm.
okay? And then these over here are full of corn. You can't see anything, cause I use that a lot during the pre-harvest season and growing season
Don't we
and
have
stuff
something
like
on
that.
too, like on corners like that we can cut
We
back?
have enforceable vision triangles,
Okay,
but I can tell you in the farming community, it gets very, very questionable. That we're cutting crops and whatnot and all that.
Well, and to be
One
honest,
thing is soybeans could be planted one year and then they kind of rotate.
Yeah,
That's
that
an issue one year, not an issue the
This
next.
field
But
over here and that one over there, in fact, I think that one over there was soybeans last year, but whatever, it's just.
I completely agree, there's not, the vision's not there, but the reason the other accident happened is not because of the vision, it's
No.
because of
I mean,
a few things, but like blowing the stop sign, not seeing it ahead, not stopping for the stop sign, not being able to see.
I don't want to minimize the last accident that happened, but like I said, the intersections, roadways are not designed for drunk driving. And that was the issue that happened in this particular
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, I'm not either. Cause I know I've been talking about it and brought it up and stuff like that. And it's just, I travel there frequently and it's just, man, I've seen a lot of hairy things, you know,
Agreed.
and
The
I've seen people pull in the right lane to blow by traffic, turning left right here, you know, and get in that turn lane and it's just, and you're sitting there and I don't know. I just brought it up because
All the way around.
yeah, I just brought it up because if there's something we can do that, you know, that makes sense, that's kind and friendly to the farmers and the neighbors and everybody else, but alerts people that there is a intersection coming up. I don't know why we wouldn't explore that, I guess, but that's just me.
I agree, it's a terrible intersection.
And I just think it's gonna continue to grow with travel. You know, as people come and go and people from out of town work in town and vice versa, our town go that direction. You know, so. Even if you just put a couple signs leading up with the orange flag thing you see down by.
So we-
down there.
We do have double stop ahead signs up there with yellow reflective light, strips on the posts.
Right.
Like I said, I don't wanna be the burden of bad news, but I hate to say it, individuals do not see signs. They get complacent.
Oh, no, no.
Or we can put orange reflective flags on it and research has shown that does not help. If you drive that same road every day, it's routine. You just stop here. You don't actually see the stop sign. You don't see the approaching signs.
The ones that are up down by, I travel a lot down past the Dick's area, Dick's Market there. I see those all the time and I'm through there all the time, so I should be used to it, but I see them, you know.
You see it, but the other
No, I'm not,
90% pop.
no, I get it, I get that.
Yeah, but
I'm not trying to argue.
So if you're not seeing those, you already know the stop sign is there, so you're stopping. So we're trying to get people that are, like, let's say at night, that aren't used to this area and for some reason.
That's
So it's like,
that'd be my, you know.
yeah, whether they're drinking or not. I mean, let's say they had 3 beers. It's like, okay, so you're not paying attention, you're cruising down a quiet road and there's crops on the field and you don't see any cross traffic. And all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I didn't see that. That's more where I'm with him on saying, like, the more stuff we have ahead of time, yeah, we can't just keep putting more stuff up. I know there's a point of, but I mean, even changing stuff up, it's like, okay, all of a sudden we had flags up and just to,
Yeah, I guess,
trying to do what we can.
but like I said before, that the one thing that we could do that I could see could possibly be a benefit is install rumble strips. It's a cheaper solution. It just poses an issue with noise. And once you start getting into the residential areas, that's where a lot of the complaints come.
Cause I've seen a lot of stop signs where there's just a post and a sign out there, but like a lot of them, they've got reflectors going all the way down to the bottom. I don't know if that would help at all.
So that's what's gonna be done at this intersection.
Oh, okay.
So they're gonna put a larger stop sign in, they're gonna put one on each side of the roadway,
Okay.
and then they're gonna put the red reflective strips on the posts.
That should help some of it, think.
That is what the DOT currently is looking at as an alternative solution to what's there now.
Mm.
They are gonna continue monitoring it. We've had, in the last 2 years, there's been 2 failure to stops. Obviously, the last incident is included in this, and then the other previous one was, not a fatality, but, they did get hit. The biggest issue here is failure to yield, so they do stop at the stop sign, then they pull out in front of somebody. that was one question I asked the DOT is possible offset turn lanes. So that turn lane going south and the turn lane going north, there really isn't they're really not large turn lanes by any means.
No, this,
But you would have them offset so a car is not like hidden behind it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
well, this turn lane is
It's too small.
way too small. I
Yeah.
mean, you pull over there, I mean, you're hauling the mail because everybody's up to speed when they're going by this area. You know, coming off of the 4 lane into the deal, and there's nothing to stop them from being up to speed, right? And, you know, you're following somebody and then you pull over to get into this right lane right here, and then it's just, you know, and it's.
They're right on your ass already.
Yeah, it's tight, you know, I mean, it doesn't bother me, I can deal with it, but I can see where it could be hazardous, you know what I mean? I can deal with it, I'm not saying I'm a better driver than anybody, it just doesn't bother me.
Yep.
Okay, but, I can see where it could be hairy, you know? Where if you're hugging this white line at all, getting to the right there, you know, you're in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I drive this.
I mean, I know
every
you go
day.
there every day, but.
I mean, we can all agree there could be improvements made to this.
And I guess that's all I'm trying to explore,
Yep.
Dustin. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here and, you know, not calling that, you know, we have somebody stand out there, okay, your turn to go, but, you know, if we can just do something, even start out simple, you know, and just see if it works, see if it helps, see if we can get a year or two without an incident, you know, especially with the south or whatever direction, north southbound E coming into the, you know, to 2912 there, and even if it's, I get that, I get the metrics of, you know, people won't notice the orange signs anymore, but I'm kind of with Dustin. New people that travel will be alerted to it. Hopefully the ones that travel it all the time are alert that, oh, I'm by the church, so I should start slowing down now coming into this, or I'm by here, and you know what I mean? And we all use landmarks to do things like that. So, anyway,
Yeah, we can definitely explore it. Like I said, a lot of this is out of the county's control at this
Right.
particular intersection.
Yeah.
But we can look at making adjustments or doing something at the approaches coming to the intersection. And then also help enforce some of the vision restrictions, possibly, like I say, maybe talking to the landowners to post the vision triangles and say, hey, please don't plant in this to help with visibility. We can definitely do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good start with the landowners. Rumble strips would be obviously improvement. That road is getting busier and busier, and I can see we're gonna have more. Although it's only one injury per year right now, it looks like, or just over. But I think it's gonna get worse. So I definitely think we gotta look into maybe even rumble strips asking about that, so.
Yeah, we definitely can.
my goal is not to see any incidents there personally, but.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
We'll look into that. And then this was also something I added to it, just to give you an update on the Highway 25 and Double B intersections. So I did talk to the DOT, so they were awarded HSIP funding, which is federal dollars for highway and safety improvements. So they did get funded for both intersections to be installed with roundabouts. So Double B that goes to the west by John Deere there will have a roundabout installed. And then also the one Double B going to Cedar Falls will have a roundabout installed. As of right now, from what they have told me, fiscal year 2030 to reconstruct those two intersections. So when I say fiscal year 2030, it will be 2031.
Mhm.
So their fiscal years are July. So July to July. It's kind of a different situation. I'm sure most of you will see it. Next year, the DOT is redoing Highway 25. In 2026, all the way up to County Road D. Basically from, I believe, I-94 to County Road D, they're gonna be doing a resurface. These intersections will just be resurfaced, but no roundabouts or no improvements will be done. So just a new surface. They tried to see if they could get everything pushed forward ahead, but unfortunately, they could not. With roundabouts, there's probably a lot of real estate they'd have to buy, a lot of more design, and fortunately, they can't make it happen in 2026. So that's the information they told me, as of last week. They're looking at, construction in fiscal year 2030 to roundabouts at both, intersections.
Okay.
And I just put in there, like I said, the last 5 years, that's combined both intersections on the accident history. So. Same similar to what you would see at the E intersection.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, zero failure stops. It was just pull out in front of traffic. It's the biggest thing.
Or they're stopping, people are stopping.
Yeah, people are stopping and turning in the car rear ending.
Yeah.
So. But that's good information. That's good news. And like I said, they are making improvements to that. Those are obviously issues. Is the E intersection eventually potentially could have this? We don't. Like I said, that's at the DOT's hands.
Sounds good.
And then last but not least, this is our highway financials. Obviously, we're looking at, a year-end budget surplus, which is positive. Like I said, we had some, projects that B project in particular had a lower cost than what we had budgeted for. Winter maintenance costs were lower. Like I said, that's where our cost savings are.
So that was, trying to remember the number, 225 number with the B project.
Yep.
That was with a railroad situation with the extra arm and the approaches and stuff like that, right? That's what that was.
Yep, and that was
And
included
then we
in the
saved,
budget.
if I remember looking at that number right,
That,
over 200,000 or 202,000.
that was not in that contract price.
No, I know, but we saved,
Yep.
we ended up saving almost that same number.
Correct.
So that's a good deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and originally, the original estimate that we had was right around that 4 million to complete that. So that
Yeah.
was what was budgeted, right around that $4 million for that B project.
Good work on it.
So
It's a lot of moving parts there that you have to keep track of, and
I'm just really glad that that project is done.
yeah, I'm
It's
sure.
been a project from hell since 2016.
Well, you did a good job, so.
Any other questions? You got more there? Okay.
No, that was just part of that.
All right. Any other questions on his report? Okay, thanks Dustin for the long report. It's really good though. 7A. 7A, approval of highway vouchers. Is there a motion?
Sorry, they're kind of small, so
They are tiny.
we're trying to put more on one sheet to save on paper.
I'll make that motion to approve them.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any questions, on any of the vouchers? Need more time to read them?
No, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
You need more time? Doo-doo-doo.
Nope, we're good. Nope.
Okay, all in favor? Approving them?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 7B, purchase of 3-yard shop loader, revision from January 8th, I guess.
So, obviously this was brought to your attention, the purchase a loader, 3-yard loader at our January meeting. At that meeting, we accepted the Cat 926M, 926M, for what we believe was low, bid. With that being said, we had an error, in our bid totals. What we thought was low bid was actually not low bid. We had some error on how we interpreted it, the bid, which we messed up. We should add clarification with it. Unfortunately, it didn't get brought to my attention until literally we shut this meeting down and I was approached by Dan that said we made a mistake. Not only did we make other mistakes, in our specifications, we had some issues with, how things were interpreted and told to, certain, dealers, manufacturers. One issue was in our specifications, we requested a quick attach to work with our Dunn County attachments. That is a different coupler than what we actually got, what we were telling people over the phone when there was questions. We were specifying what we've specifying, but not in our specifications was a certain coupler. And unfortunately, in writing, what we had presented to everybody, it didn't specify. It just said a quick attach to meet our current requirements. That is actually not what we wanted, but that is how it was written. We had some issues with what was presented to everyone with costs for one thing. The specifications of the coupler. We also had issues with some of our operating weights, clarifications on that. There was questions on the warranties and whatnot. Like I said, we had issues on our end that we cannot compare apples to apples. Based on the issues that we had. And I have recommended, that we do is we reject all of the bids from previous. And we reissue a different set of specifications that spells everything out and has everything appropriate in the specifications of what we're looking for. These are due to our errors on the county level. As you can see, one issue that we had in particular was the bid proposal from Arian Equipment for the Volvo L70 loader. Originally, what was presented to you was it was a misinterpretation from us. What was presented was a value of $200,000 for the machine. What we thought was that was the machine with the trade-in value. So we added their trade-in value and their warranty. So what I presented last month was right around that 200 and I can't remember what it was, 226,000 roughly. But that was an error on our end on how we interpreted it. So if we look at low bid with this updated mission, corrections on it, the Volvo L70 would be $200,000 for that machine compared to what we thought was a low bid for 216,000 from David Cat.
Mhm.
Like I said, due to our errors and issues with our specifications and what was presented to you, in the best interest of the county is we would reject the bid proposals from previous and we start over.
So are we gonna get ourselves in a little hot water if we already accepted a bid? Everything's,
We have the ability to reject, because we have not purchased. We have not signed a contract, we have not signed an agreement or anything to purchase this machine.
So, so these would be the new quotes, so we wouldn't have to throw these away. Right?
No, what I provided you is, what the updated cost that for the Volvo machine. So everything else has not changed, it's just the overall cost,
Okay,
that we misinterpreted on the previous spreadsheet that I sent last month.
okay, okay.
So like I said, some of the specifications that we requested, so I presented to you in the packet here is what the specifications that we presented, to the dealers, basically. As you can see, there's not. In the miscellaneous, we just say quick tech to work with Dunn County attachments. That is not what we wanted, but that is what is shown. That doesn't have a different cost with, a different coupler that we're looking at doing. Well, another issue that we had is we sent out the specification with a cover letter that had two different dates on when, it had to be submitted. Not necessarily that large of an issue with that because it was still, we still honored that because of our screw up. But like I said, from the beginning, we have had issues with our specifications of how it was presented to you. And like I said, the best interest of the county is we would reject what we did last month for accepting that proposal and we start over.
So do we need a
So we can either stay with what we voted on last month. Or we have to reject it and start over. That's our option, is what you're saying?
From my understanding is it's the best interest to reject them and start over.
So do we need a motion to reject those last month ones? Is that what you need to start with, or?
Yes,
Well,
Okay,
if we're gonna do that, then I think we need to respect the whole thing. Because I've actually talked to a few of the lower operators and they felt like they would actually rather have a bigger one. The 70 didn't handle it as good as a 926. And they felt like they'd actually have a step up above that. So I would, if we're gonna go through it, I would rather respect the whole thing and go to the next size up.
yeah, I guess we would have to evaluate on if it's needed. I guess cost wise, obviously, if you go to a bigger machine, it's gonna be increased costs. Potentially.
Yeah. I mean, I can
Um,
see, yeah, it's up a little bit, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, to be able to handle the thing and load it efficiently. I guess
so what,
I'm basing stuff on efficiency, on trying to get stuff loaded and get trucks out of here as fast as you can without guys standing right on their nose trying to.
so
load stuff.
if we look at comparable machines. So I've talked to our operators, we have a machine, it's a John Deere 544, so it's a little bit bigger machine than what was quoted to us. That is the size machine that our operators would like. I'm not saying it has to be a John Deere 544. I'm just saying a comparable loader with that. So if you were to compare that 544 with the information that I can find on the websites and what I have been provided, the 544 is comparable to the Cat 930. It's comparable to the Komatsu 270. It is comparable to the Volvo L70 and the 651G. So if we were looking at that same size loader that our operators prefer, that's what these machines would be. If you're looking at operating weights, you're looking at all that. My concern is if we go to a larger machine than that, then you're gonna want to put a bigger bucket on. So what we would say is a 3 yard bucket. Now, let's say if you go to a bigger machine, you go to a 3 or a 4 yard bucket. If we're concerned with tipping and stability now we're just in a bigger unit with instability. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
So if we go with a bigger machine and continue with a 3 yard bucket, we got a bigger machine, but a smaller bucket that,
Is there a 3.5?
do we actually really need? Yes, there is 3.5. So that's what I'm saying is if we go to a bigger machine with a 3.5 yard bucket, are we gonna still have concerns with stability, but just we have a bigger machine?
Yeah, I would,
That makes
I
sense.
guess I'd like to know where that tipping point is.
Yep. Well, like I said, what we have on here is we've shown the tipping points on what was provided to us.
Yep.
Your straight tipping, we specified 19,000 pounds
Yep.
and
It was specified 20,000. And it got switched to 19, so Cat met the spec. Cause on the original, it was 20,000,
yeah.
and then when you presented it to the committee, it got switched to 19.
So on that, yes, correct. On this on this spreadsheet, that was another error that we had. We have 19,000, but in our specification, it shows 20. Like I said, from day one, we have made the errors on our end. And that's why I'm saying is it's the best interest of the county that we would reject it and start over. And we can specify a larger machine, we can specify a smaller machine. And specify the same machine, but we all have to be on the same. We have to be able to compare apples to apples. Right now, from the information that we have presented to everyone, including you guys, is not apples to apples.
So that bigger machine, would it be like wider too, so be a little more stabilized? No way.
I can tell you what I know about a loader is it has 4 wheels and a bucket on the front. I don't know. Assuming you go to a bigger machine, it's gonna be wider, longer, higher, taller, I assume.
And the only other question is, if we do go like with a new, like order on it, we've already got the prices here, and somebody say, well, if I knock it down $3,000-4,000 more, I might get a bid.
That was my question, you know, I'm assuming that when these different entities put a bid in, they don't know what anybody, they don't even know who else is in the game. They have a pretty good idea, I'm sure, because they're used to doing business that way and stuff, but I guess my concern now is that
So the bid,
have they had access to see these numbers that we're looking at right now?
the bid openings are public.
That's the problem. They all got opened up.
Yeah,
They got opened up and then it got switched.
So yes, every one of these
And I'm not,
manufacturers knows what the other one bid was.
but that might be,
And they have the ability to do that. They
but that
can
might
come
be
to the bid
in
opening.
our favor.
for
Rather than
us,
looking at it, say,
for
hey,
us.
you know, if I drop it a little bit,
Yeah.
who knows?
It could go the opposite. We could
I
have manufacturers that won't bid at all.
Yeah, they said, hey, you know, like, we're not in it, so why even?
We know what potentially is a low bid for this machine and this is the lowest we can go.
right,
We're not gonna compete. We are a low bid county.
well, we don't have to. I mean, you go through the quote process again, like we're considering here. And the numbers come back and they went the other direction against us, we don't have to do it, you know what I mean, we can. Vote not to, I guess, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and if they do come down, it looks a little funny too. All of a sudden you come down, so.
Could I have 30 seconds? No, or not?
Yes.
Okay. So Andrew Beckman, Baby Cat, Dunn County resident, taxpayer. I felt when I put this bid together, I made 100% sure that everything was 100% transparent. I'm a very honest person. Everything is laid out. When I submit a bid, it's with a proposal. It's very black and white. It's not up to interpretation. I don't know how many of you are business owners, but how many of you have gotten calls after the fact for clarification on a bid? Usually you win it or you lose it. In my mind, it's not up to the customer to reach out to me to verify the price of the bid. Your argument about your attachments, you own both styles attachments. You have Fusion, you have Derby, you have IT, you have it all. So some of your arguments of it being your fault, I don't know if it really is, because technically you do own it. So. I mean, for the cat, I mean, the spec, it meets the specs. I mean, you download all the machines, you own a 926, you know what it does. I mean, we can throw stones if we want, but it's pretty cut and dry when you put them in the dirt. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like interpretation on my numbers, because I called Dan an hour before I dropped it off and went through how to write the numbers in. And he told me write the cost of my machine without the trade in the section, so I did the 200,000. And then he told me put my trade number down, and then that trade number would be minus off my cost of the machine. So it wasn't misinterpretation or like my fault, because I went through it with Dan, and then it got the other way after
That was the error on our end.
Yes.
What got presented to you and to everyone else was the opposite of
The
that.
trade-in is added it.
Yes.
Well, I guess my thought is we either stick with what we voted on, or if we're gonna redo it, respec it and go with the bigger loader.
Would a bigger loader be as to go to different places after, like this one is gonna go to another place? Would a bigger loader create a problem with that, or what are you thinking?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Okay.
When I say a bigger loader, like I say, we have a 544 that's comparable to what our current Komatsu loader is.
Yep.
I can't see we have an issue now with that, so I don't see that would be an issue later. I'm not saying we have to go to a very, very much larger machine than what we currently have. Like I said, I think if we were to compare apples to apples, like I say, maybe the next size loader, I don't know what size that is. I mean, I hate to say it, they're all over
Maybe
the
a
place.
930 or a
To
90.
write a specification is very, very difficult when 5 manufacturers have every different thing you can do. I mean, changing bucket styles, putting different couplers on changes everything. Operating weights, breakout forces, all that stuff. So at some point in time, you just have to say, this is it. We're gonna put whatever, a 30,000 pound machine, and that's it. Anything lower than that doesn't qualify. Anything higher than that, whatever meets our spec, is close to it. Like I said, it's very, very difficult process when you're trying to put a spec together, because it's all over the place. Some manufacturers might only have 3 sizes of machines. The next manufacturer might have 10 different size machines. So that's where it gets to be so difficult. Like I said, I do believe the information that I have provided is we have screwed up on this whole bid process from day one.
Yeah. I think we need to start over. So if we want to reject, we'd reject what we got presented here in front of us too, and just start the whole process over. In another month, we'll have new stuff.
Yes, that is my intent, is we would reject this and then reissue, open to bids for whatever specifications we want to put together, I guess, if we want to go to a larger machine, if we want to stay the same.
Well, if I'm looking at this, okay, like. Just take the Fabic, the two columns for Fabic. One's a 926, one's a 930. I'm assuming those are different sizes, or is it just different
Yeah,
model numbers?
930 is a bit the next size of.
Yeah.
yeah, if you look at your operating weights, so the 926.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I was looking at. I was reading those numbers. The same thing over with Miller Bradford. They have two different numbers, 621, 651, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, okay. Yep, just curious. And so it seems like either they took it upon themselves to offer the next size up
Yeah,
as an option, or we put in, hey, we want both sizes from everybody. You know,
Well, they must not, because not everybody put two sizes.
no,
in.
I know that wasn't spelled out, I'm assuming, to
so
everybody.
the two cat machines, they're close to the specification.
Gotcha.
One is over the specification, one is
Gotcha.
right
Yep.
at that threshold.
Okay, so that's why there's two there.
That's, and the same with case.
Sounds good.
And then the other ones met our specification, our minimum specifications. That's why they didn't provide two different machines.
And so why is it that, earrings for the, like the 5-year warranty, they have a bill there and the rest of them are automatically? That is part
That's
of
the
it?
way they interpreted it.
Okay.
They broke it out instead of included in the.
But that's still
overall cost.
part of their total price, so.
Yes.
And that was for a 5-year full warranty. Cause I had called Dan before and talked to Dan, cause you guys asked for a 5-year powertrain warranty. And I called him and he said bid a full warranty. So that's with a full warranty. That's not just with a powertrain warranty.
When was that added?
Look.
Was that number broke out on your
Yep.
RFP? The bid opening that I was at, it was 200 flat and I was there minus the trade.
I didn't just put yes for, cause a lot of people put yes for the warranty. I called Dan beforehand and I wrote a number in.
Sure.
I'm sure you guys still have that paperwork, right?
Yes.
So you can see it on there from the sealed bid.
But I'll make a motion that we just start over again like that, and I know there'll be some discussion if there's a second, but that's what I make a motion to start over again.
Just one quick question. How soon do we need this machine?
We don't need it right away. Like I said, we're making do with what we got. We're just looking at our overall need in our shop here and our outlying shops. Like I said, we have operational loaders currently.
I guess the question is, if we reject this whole thing and maybe next meeting discuss the size that we want to put out for bids, or what are you guys thinking?
Well, if we rejected, then yes, I would.
Next meeting, discuss the size and then put it out for bids? Anything?
That works for me. So, sure.
Okay, so Gary's got a motion that rejects and start over. Any second?
Second that.
Motion been made and seconded to reject all bids and start this process over with new criteria. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We will reject all bids at this time. Next meeting, we will put new criteria together.
Good.
Story about that to the bidders. All right, 7C, 5-year equipment plan.
So what's presented in your packet is a 5-year equipment wish list. Obviously, this is something that is part of our capital improvement process, so. Looking back, or looking into 2030 for our equipment needs, so put together a long list. Trying to get on that same schedule with trying to get 3 plow trucks in here every year. I'm gonna utilize 30 different plow trucks in a given storm. Try to get in that 10-year rotation, you'd have to have at least 3 of them. Cost for this stuff is kind of up in the air. Most of this is kind of a guess at being what prices are gonna be 5 years from now. We don't know, so. They said biggest thing is plow trucks.
My one question is, 2026, yeah, one water brine truck, is that what we were looking at earlier? I don't think so.
Yes,
The 2 trucks where they insert and stuff, that was,
those wedge tanks.
yeah,
No, this would be a truck.
because I know they carry brine.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. This would be just an exclusive truck.
totally just a truck
to hold
tow,
water and hold brine.
yeah, has sprays it out and,
Yep.
gotcha. Do we have one now? That
We
only does
have-
that?
We have 2 water trucks. And like I said, the one is in good condition. It's fairly new. We bought a used one. And then we have one that's probably 20 years old.
Yeah.
Plus, that leaks like a sieve.
And this would be multi-use, so in the summer it'd be out on taking care of your underlayments for
Yes.
road work and stuff like watering it so you can pack it and.
Yep, that's exactly what we do
Dust
going.
control.
And in the wintertime, we can utilize it for applying brine
Gotcha.
or transporting
Yep,
it to our line shops.
Okay. So this is just a proposal, basically. So we need a motion for this,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal for the 5-year plan.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 7D, 2026 to 3030 Highway Capital Improvement Plan.
This is the where the fun and excitement comes into play. Trying to incorporate from what our previous discussions of trying to possibly add on to this building to have a truck barn, you want to call it, and wash bay system. And then the possibility of renovating the existing building here. So what this does is represents that long-term borrowing schedule that was presented to you guys previously. At that point in time, when that meeting was completed, we looked at worst case scenario for borrowing. That option 1C, if you recall, that 1C was the largest building, precast, and then also renovating this building. So if we were to look at trying to do that, and like I said, this is all contingent upon full county board approval. So just be aware of that. We'd be looking at starting the process of designing for that option 1C building addition, which is 72,000 square foot precast building. We'd be looking at trying to start the design process in 2026 and then build it in 2027. These costs were provided by Cedar Corps, who did the analysis on there, so that incorporates what was presented to you guys with overall costs. Will the cost be adjusted? I don't know right now with what's going on and happening with tariffs and all this stuff. We don't know what costs are gonna be for some of this stuff, so could it increase, could it be reduced? We don't know. This is going off of market pricing basically today. What it was budgeted for. I can assure you, I don't want to spend this much money on a building. I don't want to, I mean, now we throw the Cedar Falls Bridge into the equation, in the next 5, maybe 10 years, what that costs. Building, an addition, we all can agree, we have a need. In this 5-year plan that doesn't address any of our outline shops needs. Trying everything to do to not spend money, but unfortunately, this is what, like I said, is reality. Not saying it has to be done. That's all up to you guys. But I have to present something that based on, what that needs analysis came back at, we do have a need to increase our storage capacity here. So we can have equipment parked under a roof, of some sort. Like I said, this CIP is following our long-term borrowing schedule that was presented to you guys, with that worst case scenario cost.
So if we make a motion, go through the process of approving this,
Still goes to full county board.
okay. Can we go? Then it has to be this option. There's no getting together and looking at a different option that could be less costs.
I would say that would go to a full county board and then come back to us if we have to make adjustments.
Okay.
Just say if
If
once
we
the,
pump this forward, full county board's gonna take a vote on this number right here, correct? And then it's either that or nothing. And we start over,
So the capital improvement plan is a plan
right? Right,
that changes every year.
correct.
So ultimately, what we do is when we approve the capital improvement plan, or when you approve the capital improvement plan, that is advising Dustin that he can move forward as if that were to happen.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
Which means he might spend money under the assumption that he's going to have a building built in a couple of years.
Yeah.
The reality is the capital improvement, passing the capital improvement plan, that is the only effect that it has. The budget is what. So we could move forward with all of this happening, and when the 2027 budget is passed, you can deny that. And then there's no building. And and your loss there is that Dustin was working under the presumption that there would be one.
Right.
So
Second question is, you got a cost for 2027, then as I continue down through here, you see the highway and then you see Menominee Shop, okay? In 2028, both highway. Then you get down to 29, it's continuing renovation, so almost 300,000, and then in 2030, it's another 4.3 million for continued renovation. I guess I'm trying to figure out if we just built it, what's changing, or
That's a different.
so there was two different costs, so. There was a cost to build that building addition, and then there was a cost to renovate the existing building.
The one you're sitting in.
How this is laid out is based on the long-term borrowing schedule that in the best interest of the county, like. I believe at that time, we're spending like $5 million of levy.
so it's all renovation it's all renovation to current property
Yes.
after the other one's built.
Correct.
So
It would be a remodel of
20
this building.
yep, so in 2027, that cost is just to put the new building in place
Yes,
and get it operational.
the new.
Not
addition.
touching anything, don't even take the carpet out of here,
Yes,
maybe give you a new pencil. Okay, but, so then that's where this kicks in. The renovations is for this current building,
Yeah.
the shop and every part of it.
Yep, after the new
Gotcha.
building is built for storing equipment.
Just wanted to double check, make sure I understand.
27, we're talking 1C, so that was. Because we had like 3 options, this was.
Yeah, so the first option was a 36,000 square foot facility that would meet basically our minimum needs.
Hmm.
Then there was the 1B, which was a 54,000 square foot building, which would have meter needs with a little bit of expansion, potentially, if we grow. 72,000 square foot 1C was future expansion if we ever, it's the last building we would ever need on that type of thing. And that's
And
one,
this is the one that we kind of voted on.
that's what was, I wouldn't say voted on, it was
Agreed.
suggested that we look at the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And that's what we presented with long-term borrowing, worst case scenario, option 1C, and renovate the building after the other building is built. So could these numbers change? Absolutely. We don't know. I mean, we could say that right now the renovation is gonna be $4.6 million and it could come in at 5. Once an estimate's done. We don't know that. Like I said, this is just a capital improvement project wish list, I should say, to present that we have a need and is it feasible to even happen? So. And that goes to full county board.
This is kind of the starting point. It's gonna get hacked after that. Possibly.
So when you look at a new, doing some work in the shop, can you rearrange like the pillars? So there'd be more room to park the trucks, cause right now, I don't know, is that possible or is not even
So
possible?
I guess the intent of this existing building is there would not be equipment parked in this building.
Okay.
So what the intent would be is to expand this office front space into where the shop is. So they build brick walls and stuff like interior walls and whatnot. And then the shop side would be moved over where all the equipment's parked now. There was a layout kind of that was
Yeah.
presented, but it's not set in stone. But the intent would be, no equipment would be put into this existing building. It would be basically the shop repairing equipment. And expand a little bit of this office space, so it's nice to have a conference room, so we're not all in the same room.
So all the bays would be moved to the other side over there.
All of it, that's what the intent was. Like I said, that doesn't need to happen. Maybe there's a different design. I don't know, but that was what the original intent was, to move the shop side over where the truck storage is now. Cut in doors that would be basically drive in for each bay instead of driving in on each end,
And
turning
right there,
90 degrees.
Definitely something like that, because it's insane to try and get a dump truck into one of these stalls. And then you've got all that, chemicals, oil, whatever, and we're cutting
Yeah,
out that.
it's right next to the fan top.
Yeah, ideal.
Like I said, we can all agree there's a need, it's just.
Yeah.
The cost.
So our vote is to,
All
our
right.
vote will have the intent of moving this to the county, full county board for approval.
When they do, yeah, further CIP.
Yeah, and then the whole budget process dictates if it's gonna happen.
Make a
We need a
motion. I make a motion that we move it forward. The proposal forward, highway capital improvement project. Proposal forward.
Perfect. There's seconds?
I'll second it.
All right, the motion's been made. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let me see. Moving on to 8, consideration of resolutions for ordinance recommended to the county board, resolution 2024 highway budget carry forward.
Yeah, in your
Pretty
packet,
standard.
these were, budgeted costs that we did in 2024 that have not been fully completed or executed, so those funds will go into 2025 to pay for those costs. Outside of our 2025 budget.
I'll make a
Any
motion to
motion?
move it. Yeah, I'll make a motion to move it forward.
Have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made second. Any discussion? It's pretty straightforward. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Next meeting date will be March 12th, same place, same time. Any other information you want? If not, meeting's adjourned.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
All right.